Hello everybody and welcome to our review of One Piece chapter 1027 titled An Unbelievable Disaster. Now this is what I like to call a two-part chapter where the first half focuses on Luffy versus Kaido and Onigashima falling, and the second half is focused on King versus Zoro, which I did not think Oda would focus on just yet, and I'll expand upon that more in this review as we go along. Let's start with the cover page with Goldie Roger being chased by a lion because Roger was drawing on the lion's face. You also see Shanks and Buggy. I'm not too sure if they're crying, but I also think this cover page's poetic justice is kind of fitting, not only from the previous chapter with what we got with the hockey clash, which split the heavens between Luffy and Kaido, but also with what we got in this chapter, similarities between Roger and Luffy we know about, but there's some things about Roger we're not certain about, which I'm going to go into a little bit more later on as well. But we start off with the aftermath of Nekomamushi versus Perospero, and 100% is confirmed. Perospero is done. I don't know if he's dead, probably not. We still don't know where the rest of the Big Bottom Pirates are, because we haven't seen them since Marco hit them down the second time. So Carrot hugs Nekomamushi. Wanda's like, Carrot, don't look at the full moon because you'll turn to Sulong mode. Not that that matters anymore, because Carrot and Wanda fulfilled their roles, unfortunately. I kind of was like, again, Carrots have some type of role. I mean, she's top 8 in the character poll, and she pretty much did next to nothing against Perospero. So got to go to the top of Onigashima, where we see the aftermath of the heavens being split apart. Yamato and Momonosuke see this because of the journal, because of Oden's logbook. They both notices what this means, because the clashes between Roger and Whitebeard did the same thing. You also notice the fist of Luffy and the base of Kaido are making contact and are still clashing with each other. Luffy is huffing and puffing immediately. Kaido is a worse than wear, but he's not as bad. Yamato's dripping with blood, so pretty much Yamato's at the limit. So Luffy gives Yamato a nickname to further that bond even further. Deal with that snake, and because Momonosuke hasn't got a grip on his powers at all. It's calling Momonosuke a snake instead of a dragon, because he pretty much is a coward at this point, despite the fact he's 28 years old. But then Yamato jumps on and Momonosuke's back and says, "Don't worry, I got this." Kaido immediately goes for the both of them, and goes for Momonosuke. He's like, "Where the hell do you think you're going?" Yamato blocks Kaido at this point by saying, "Momo, just get the hell out of here." But then in comes Luffy from behind, uses his legs to wrap around Kaido's neck to prevent him from getting to Yamato and Momonosuke. And we got a cool moment between Yamato and Luffy. I think it's pretty cool, at least. It establishes that bond with Luffy yelling Yamato. Yamato's like, "I know, I got it. You want this to be 1v1, right?" Luffy smiles, "Yep." So that's the cue for Yamato to go with Momonosuke to stop. They dart down, and immediately they're like, "Get away from the island." And then they notice that the island itself is starting to crumble apart. Like little pieces of rock are about to fall on the flower capital. Those are not pebbles, so that's gonna be a problem. And it's because Kaido is pretty much weakening, so he doesn't have as much control over Onigashima anymore. So I'm gonna get into that a little bit more as by the end. Pretty much illustrates what I said in the previous chapter. So his flames can't support Onigashima anymore. So they got 5 minutes until. And then that's where the rocks are gonna fall, and it's gonna kill people, pretty much. And the moment I heard that, I'm like, this is like Frieza on Namek vibes again. Like where you got 5 minutes before Namek explodes. Here you got 5 minutes until pretty much Onigashima falls and crumbles apart on top of the flower capital. Right away, obviously this gives us also birdcage vibes, because now, because you have like Yamato trying to coach Momonosuke to use his own flames to like control Onigashima, which kind of like gives Luffy time, because that's the only thing they could do at this point, which gets them both away from Luffy and Kaido at this point. And also this is the second problem too, is like it's not going to only kill people in the flower capital with the with Onigashima crumbling apart. It's also going to kill a lot of people in general, because there's a lot of explosives that are part of the flower capital, so it's going to be like a nuclear bomb. Then Momonosuke is like, "We need to go stop Luffy." Yamato smashes Momonosuke in the head. It's like, don't be an idiot. He's willingly putting all this on himself. He can barely stand, but we can't stop him after that. So The connection between Yamato and Luffy cannot be denied any further. Yeah, Luffy's the only one that can defeat Kaido. Telling him about this would only prove as a burden to him, so we have to figure this out on our own. Great development for Yamato. Then we cut, no pun intended, to the second half of this chapter, which is Zoro versus King. King goes ballistic on the Skull Dome because King's mask was cracked, and by the end he's completely cracked open. And it looks like he's also got into hybrid form, unless he's found a way to transform his wings, actually just sends Zoro flying back. It just knocks Beast Pirates flying right, left, right, and center. It sends Zoro flying into Frankie, which is funny and convenient at the same time. Zoro's like, yeah, he's pretty strong. I like how Frankie's like, you need a hand, and Zoro's like, nope. Dead set on that 1v1, so that's great. And we see Queen, and he's getting pissed off. By the way, I didn't see Sanji at all in this chapter. We saw him in the previous one, not in this chapter, unless he was the one with his legs in the air. You see in the panel. And then one of the Beast Pirates notices he just cracked King's mask. So that's what sent him over the edge, and it's like, no wonder he's pissed off. No one's ever seen his real face, which is by the end of this fight, we're going to see his face anyway. So King goes in again. Zoro's like, Frankie, I need you to step back. He's like, Sun Tzu, Ultra, Tiger Hunt, but it doesn't stop King at all. He comes in with the Divine Red Bow, which it looks like a bow. The attack, so that's pretty cool. And Zoro cannot block it. He sends him crashing down to the outside, and Zoro's coughing up blood, which means he's taking a lot more damage. Which I'm wondering how much longer that drug that Chopper gave him is going to actually last. Which that's a scenario I pretty much pointed out. Like, that's going to kick in at some point, and Zoro's going to have to dig down way deep to beat King. That's what it's looking like. And the attack on Zoro, you see where it goes through on the skull, the cheekbone of the skull in Onigashima. So that's pretty cool. They landed on a rock. So King ends up with Zoro, and that's where we get the standoff to end the chapter. There we get part of King's head exposed because the mask is cracked. We should get the reveal of not only King's face, of his appearance, but also what it means with his race, what kind of impact it has on the story going forward. And I actually thought that previously it was going to focus on Big Mom and Law and Kid. Actually, in the back of my mind, I kind of forgot about Killer versus Hawkins. And I actually thought about that fight needs to be wrapped up, but at the same time, Kid is under the effects of Hawkins' abilities. So if Killer attacks, then Kid's going to take the damage. So that's kind of why it slipped my mind. But also that fight could be where we go next, because Killer's going to have to find a way to resolve that without fully killing Kid. Because Law could not take Big Mom by himself. It could also be a case of where the fight between the two Yonko, the Big Mom fight with Kid and Law, that ends before Luffy versus Kaido, or it can end before Zoro versus King. Usually the hierarchy works. But also you have the Sanji versus Queen fight as well. So there's still things to wrap up as we head into the finale of this arc, and pretty soon we should be. I say this every chapter, but it's the more and more we get chapters like this, the more it's exposing us to Kaido, and the more vulnerable he is, the more we're going to get his backstory before he gets taken down. I don't think there's anybody under the sun that's kind of doubted now that this ain't going to be 1v1. It's pretty much confirmed at this point. So unless somebody comes back to actually help Luffy, it should be 1v1. I know that some people have a problem with this because it's way too soon, but here's the thing. Okay, two points. Number one, Kaido is severely weakened. That was clarified by Yamato. The fact that he cannot control Onigashima anymore, despite what he's been doing, keep in mind, we don't know how much toll that's taken on Kaido. Plus, he's taking hits from the Scabbards, the Worst Generation, plus Luffy, and Yamato. So 3 consecutive fights that's obviously taken a toll on Kaido. Luffy's obviously the worst from worst. So like I said, if there's ever a point where Luffy is going to take down Kaido, now is it. And keep in mind, Luffy is either going to reveal another mode in Gear 4, or he's going to reveal Gear 5th. So that's the other thing. Plus, he has Rio, which can also damage Kaido if he can use Haki still. But there's also another factor to take consideration here. I think this kind of had to happen because people are just going to have to come to the terms that before Luffy reaches Laugh Tale, Luffy's going to surpass Roger and Whitebeard. That's a fact. this quotes to what I said at the beginning of this chapter with the cover page with, we don't know what happened with Roger. We don't know what he did with his training, when he developed his haki. It could have been at the same age as Luffy. We don't know. There's some things about Roger we don't know about, which we need to at some point. But at this particular point, it's obviously set in stone. People may not agree with it, but that's the journey that Oda has set, and that's the destination Luffy's going. Also, the fact that there's also another factor to take into consideration here, which some people may have thought about this. I'm thinking about it now. It's like with Zoro's attack we saw on Kaido not too long ago, where it didn't seem to have too much damage. It left a scar, but not too much impact. And because it's Emna, because it's been hyped up so much as the only weapon to have wounded Kaido to leave him a scar, I get the feeling that that's going to have some type of role. You remember how Rob Lucci fought Luffy back in Ino's lobby, and after Luffy used the punching gear third, it didn't affect Rob Lucci at first until he grabbed Luffy when he was miniature, pinned him against the wall, and then that's where that's where the impact kicked in. I feel like something similar is going to happen with the attack that Emna left with Azura, Kaido, unless Kaido's reclosed that scar, and that could play some type of role. If that is a delayed attack that affects Kaido eventually, that's going to give Luffy an opening anyway to strike with whatever attack he uses. Whether it's in Gear 4, he unleashes Gear 5. So that's another way that Luffy could take him down. It would be believable considering the fact that Kaido's already weakened anyway. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Also, shout out to Yamato, definitely the MVP of this chapter for two reasons. One, in Yamato's state, was able to block Kaido from hitting Momonosuke, and two, for Yamato hitting Momonosuke to pep talk him into like get your act together, because you need to help out. If you're going to be the Shogun, you need to act like one. We got more of a connection between the two, so I like that. Whether or not it's going to lead to Yamato joining the Straw Hats, we'll have to wait and see. Anything is possible at this point. We'll make a hell of a finale to Onigashima, I can tell you that. So that's going to do it for you guys. Thanks so much for watching. Like the review. If you did, hit that thumbs up. I appreciate that. Subscribe channel for more One Piece. Catch you guys later. Thanks, guys. Bye.